Yay! Now where are we when we come out of the sewers? That's the question. This looks like... Is this Ost? Yeah, this is Ost. This is that locked door. The sun, they do exist. I did it. I did it. Like Mitch played the other day, the song it played, the sweet, sweet victory. Sweet, sweet victory. From SpongeBob. We seem to have emerged in the Ost district. Machias' home is here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we've been over this a lot more. You should pay more attention. Wow, I had no idea the underground passage went all the way from the port to here. That network of tunnels beneath the city really does cover a vast area. It's like something out of a spy novel, I'll say. Maybe it's a sign. Uh-oh. Was that? That must be the chime to mark the noon hour. Yeah, that's the Heimdall Cathedral's bell. The cathedral itself is pretty far away over in the Sankt district, but you can hear it pretty clearly even here. Well, I think it's about time we found something to eat. How about we order to go from one of the local shops? And we don't really have much, but I'd be happy to at least treat you to a coffee at our house. What? You mean Machias? You invite us into your home? We get to see inside of Machias' house. They decided to grab some fish and chips to go from a nearby pub. With their meal in hand, they headed to Machias' house to enjoy lunch with a good cup of coffee. Ah, so this is the capital's famous fish and chips. I was expecting it to be delicious, but even still, I'm impressed. Yeah, that pub's supposed to be pretty well known for their fish and chips. I'll admit, it tastes good, but at the end of the day, it's still greasy comfort food. Better eat it while it's hot. It tastes disgusting if you let it cool off. Probably still better than wartime rations, though. What food isn't? This coffee seems pretty high class, though. It's got a nice, rich fragrance. Do you buy your own beans and grind them at home? Yeah, it looks like my father went out and stocked up not too long ago. And now and then he gets a chance to take some time away from his duties and come relax back here. He sees his coffee as a small island of luxury in his hectic daily life, I think. That does sound like something I could see Governor Regnitz saying. He seems like quite a respectable man to me. You'd hardly imagine a home like this belonging to an important official like the Imperial Governor. It's tiny. You know, Fee, it wouldn't hurt to be a little less blunt. No worries. As I said, my father and I are commoners through and through. He might be a top official, but neither of us really saw that as a reason to change our whole lifestyle. Besides, it's not as though we don't have some attachment to this house. Ah, right. It does seem like a comfy place to live in, though. Really cozy and relaxing.
Ooh, there's a photo. Oh, that.
Aww, look at cute little Machias there.
He looks like he had such a sweet disposition.
Yeah, before he grew up to be a stubborn old nag.
It's hilarious.
Stop nitpicking people's old family photos! Honestly.
The governor looks the same as ever, though. Is that woman next to him your older sister or something?
Close enough. She was a cousin on my father's side of the family. Since she lived quite close, she often came to visit. Our family was just my father and I, so having her around was a big help.
The way you speak about her seems to imply you no longer see her. Did she get married and move away?
She died. Around 6 years ago.
Oh.
I see. And that has something to do with why you hate the nobility, right?
So...
I never really planned on telling anyone about this. But considering all we've been through, I suppose it's time I told you a little more about me. It's a long story, but would you hear me out?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Glad to.
Thanks. Sis was 9 years my senior. Beautiful, kind. To me, she was in every sense the ideal woman. Now, as I said earlier, we're a family of commoners through and through. But my father proved to be a very capable government official. And eventually he was promoted to an important government position where he started to make a name for himself.
You're right, Luna, they did look like hot dogs.
Honesty and integrity are a core part of his work ethic. So, of course, he made his fair share of enemies. But after seeing success in a number of major projects, he gained a reputation both inside and outside the government. My mother died when I was still young, but Sis happened to live around here and ended up helping us in more ways than I can count. Since she was his niece, my father always made a fuss over her. And even though she didn't live in the same house, she was like a real sister to me, and a real daughter to my father. I was always so proud of her. As a child, she was practically my idol. And as you'd expect, she had countless admirers among the men of the city. But for all her popularity, she was always level-headed and sensible. So I never felt I had anything to worry about. Until he appeared. He was one of my father's subordinates at City Hall. Though unlike him, he was a noble by birth. A man of high rank, too. The heir of a count. However, he had none of the arrogance or haughtiness one usually associates with the nobility. When I met him myself, he came across as an honest and loyal man. He met Sis when Dad introduced him to her one day. And eventually, the two of them fell in love and began a relationship, despite the difference in their social status. As a child, I was frustrated beyond words. But even I had to admit that the two of them made a good couple. And Sis seemed so happy when she was with him that I had no choice but to let it go and accept their relationship. Time went on and they became engaged, with Dad acting as the go-between. And that's when everything started to fall apart. His family couldn't have been more blatant in their attempts to undermine the relationship. Apparently, one of the four great houses, House Cayenne, proposed an arranged marriage on short notice. And the Count's family were up in arms at the thought he might choose to take a mere commoner as his wife. Since my father held an important post, they were limited in how shamelessly they could try to sabotage the marriage. But they began to harass and threaten her in secret every way they could think of. Maybe she didn't want to cause trouble for the man she loved, or perhaps she did it out of consideration for my father. But all that time she chose to endure it alone. She never discussed it or asked for help. And finally, it became so crushing that she took her own life.
Didn't see that coming.
It was only afterward that my father and I learned what had really happened. It seems that at the very last, he had chosen to betray her love for him. "But I told her," he said. "I told her I'd treasure her as my mistress instead if she'd just accept that we couldn't be married."
Oh my goodness, really?
I just don't understand it. Why would she take her own life? After that, my father seemed to redouble his efforts. It was like watching a machine kick into high gear. With the help of his ally, Chancellor Osborne, he was able to wrest control of City Hall from the noble faction. Then, 4 years ago, he was appointed to his current position as governor of Heimdall. And that's how the Regnitz family came to be where it is.
Wow.
I don't even know what to say.
So that's why you started hating nobles?
Yeah. I was so furious at Sis's death. My hatred needed to be directed at someone. Anyone. First I blamed her fiancé, then his family, then the family of the Duke who tried to intervene. In the end, I just hated the nobility as a whole. The people, their culture, the entire idea of social classes. I desperately wanted the strength to win against them. To show how right I was. How wrong they were. But deep down, I knew the truth about my hate. I knew I was taking out my anger on people who didn't deserve it. People who had done nothing wrong.
You did?
They may be from different social classes, but people are still individuals. Sis's fiancé was faithful to her. He just wasn't strong enough to shield her from all that ugliness, despite his love. And the Count and his family were only acting in their best interests, which is to be expected, really. Ultimately, I've had to acknowledge that not all commoners are good people, and not all nobles are unworthy of respect. Eustace might not have done much to change my opinion, but getting to know you two showed me that there are nobles who live up to that name.
Machias.
I have no idea how my father feels about all of this, but this is how I've come to feel.
I see. You have my thanks.
I'm glad you felt you could talk to us about it.
Still, I don't think it hurt to be a bit more honest with yourself. If you're willing to admit all of that, maybe you can find it in you to be friends with Eustace too.
Are you kidding me? I might accept that not all nobles are bad, but that arrogant, self-centered fool can go choke on a palm. Always mocking me for spending so much time studying, or telling me I need to get out more.
I don't think he goes quite that far. Besides, I don't think he does it on purpose. He doesn't mean any harm.
That's the most irritating part. He does it without thinking.
And we're back, yes. As Mitch would say, Machias no cho regnitz.
Well, that was a good coffee break, wouldn't you say?
Okay. Machias can now use the S-Craft Ultimate Shot. Nice. we have 2 new S-crafts today. All in a very short period of time. Well, lunchtime is over. It must be almost time for the summer festival decorations to start going up. I would have thought that preparations for that would have started way before now. Is the summer festival not that big of a deal in the capital? It depends on who you ask, I guess. I've always just thought of it as one of those small yearly traditions. In my hometown, the summer festival is a major event with extensive preparations. Perhaps those places where the ancient animistic traditions survive put more effort into celebrating the festival. Animism does seem to have mostly vanished here. Not as much as in Ruhr or Crossbell, though. Well, I suppose it's hard to think of it as a seasonal festival in the capital when it's celebrated a month late to begin with. I think most just see it as an opportunity to catch a glimpse of the imperial family. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, and we're getting a phone call. Is that your Arcus ringing? What's it doing ringing out here? This is Class 7, Group A, Reen Schwarzer speaking. Hello there, Reen. This is Carl Regnitz. Governor Regnitz? Dad? Come to think of it, he did say that we'd be able to use our Arcus communication functionality in the city, didn't he? You're Group A's representative, so I figured it'd be best to call you. Is now a good time? Yes, now is totally fine. We actually just left your home. Machias invited us in for coffee. Did he now? I had a favorite specialty store roast those beans just the way I like them. It was top-notch brew, all right. With all that's been going on, it was nice to just sit down and enjoy a good cup of coffee. Well, I'm glad you were able to spend some quality time together. Anyway, getting to the point, I'm calling because we have a bit of a problem on our hands. That being the case, I'd like Group A to take care of one additional task for me. An extra task? We can do that, sure. But what exactly is it you'd like us to do? There appears to have been a burglary at a jeweler's in the Garnier district. But that's not all. The culprit seems to have left a message addressed to you. What? Your confusion is understandable. However, the jewelers submitted a report of the burglary to City Hall a short while ago. Normally I'd leave this to the proper authorities, but would you be willing to go and see if there's anything you can do? Of course, sir. We'll head over to the Garnier district at once. Alright then, I leave this matter in your hands. What was all that about? Whatever it was, you seem perplexed. Well, wait till you hear this. Reen explained the particulars of Governor Regnitz's additional task to the group. So a jewelry boutique was burglarized, and the culprit left a message addressed to us? Weird. So thinking about it, this all sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, now that you mention, I'm getting a strange sense of deja vu as well. Still, it would have been helpful if my father could have furnished a few more details. Well, it's already past noon. Let's head over to the Garnier district to find out what happened. Reen and the other members of Group A paid a short visit to Heimdall Port to report the monster's extermination. Oh good, because I was like, I need to do that. After doing so, they boarded a tram to Garnier district. We completed the task, and we received U material ×5 as a reward. Yay! And we got another task. Burglary at the jewelers. It seems burglary has taken place at the jewelers in the Garnier district called San Quarries. We should head over and find out what happened as soon as possible. Okay.